When it comes to personal finance, budgeting, saving, investing, and a whole lot more, I'm going to be breaking down the best personal finance tips that I've utilized to really cover all of this in its entirety. Now, this is something, unfortunately, that I wasn't taught through traditional education system, and I still don't understand why they don't do this and why they don't have a focus on really the financial education and the literacy piece. But let's go ahead and get into this. So starting with our first one is creating a simple budget. Now, this is really setting down and doing it, whether it's on a spreadsheet, whether it's on an app, if it's on a calendar, if it's pen and paper, you have to figure out exactly what works for you. A very simple, basic, not obsessing about it, not spending a lot of time and effort into it, but really knowing where your numbers are. It is really the basis when it comes to personal finance, is knowing where you're at, understanding and tracking your finances, understanding your net worth, regardless of how bad the situation is. A lot of it can be eye-opening to where you can cut expenses out, where you can earn a little bit more income, or where your money is actually going. It is a big change. Now, of course, with this, write down your debt. It, just like knowing exactly where your money is coming from, exactly how much you're earning, writing down your debt will give you an insight to exactly what you owe, not only the total numbers, but look at the interest rates. Now, for a majority of people that I do financial education and counseling with, they don't know where their debt is. They don't even know, for a lot of them, where their income is, what the impact is going to be of carrying this debt for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It is a game changer when you start looking at your debt and knowing exactly how you can kind of move the needle with paying that down. Now, slowing down your lifestyle is something that we've talked about before. This really is, limiting to live below your means, the LBYM, they call it. Living below your means is something that I feel a lot of people don't do this day and age. Getting a brand new car, updating your phone, getting an expensive apartment, going out to eat, spending money kind of frivolously, impulse spending. A lot of the spending really needs to be cut down, especially when it comes to spending that is going onto credit cards. Now, of course, we know the difference between having a debit card and a credit card is money that is in your account versus the credit card, fictitious and also often tied to reward points, where a lot of people that carry balances on that card do pay for the reward points themselves. So making sure you're living below your means. Simply put, you get X amount of dollars, you spend X amount on your expenses, making sure the final number is not in the negative, that you're living below your means on a month-to-month basis. Now, of course, with that comes maximizing your credit score. This is probably one of the most important financial tips when it comes to beginners. When it comes to someone who is really starting out, your credit score will be something that can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars through your entire life. When you look at getting an apartment, it is your credit score. When you're looking at insurance, it's your credit score. Even getting a job, it's your credit score. Need a mortgage, need a loan, want to borrow anything, it is based on the magical number that they come up with, which is your credit score. Making sure that you're keeping your credit card balances low, making sure you're not missing any payments on anything, nothing is overdue, nothing is late, nothing is in collections, because this number can affect everything for your entire life if you do not have a good credit score. Number 5, we look at creating a savings plan. This is the way when we really talk about paying yourself first. Fundamentally, this is a different way to think about finances. And I know a lot of people don't see it or don't realize it. When you look at personal finances, sticking to a plan, creating a savings plan, and really paying yourself first is the game-changing mindset. So what this means is you could look at putting away X amount of money. Let's say you're putting away 5% of your salary into a retirement account. You're putting it into a savings account. Above and beyond everything that you have left is what you're going to budget, is what you're actually going to make your spending plan to, not including the part that you paid yourself first. So traditionally what happens is you get a paycheck, you pay all your bills, whatever you have left, if you have anything left at the end of the month, is what you do to try to catch up on those bills, try to save a little bit of money, start that emergency fund. That is kind of the backwards thinking that we're always taught. That perpetually leads to debt and being in debt forever. Now, if you pay yourself first, let's say you set aside 10% of your income, that other 90% of your income is what you're going to use for income and expenses, and then making sure you're living within that 90% means. I even think at a young age, even if you, let's say, set away that 10% income into an investment account, it is going to be a game changer for the rest of your life, as long as you're managing the rest of your budget by really doing this. And of course, big thing, separating your savings from your checking account. Now, most people put all their money into one place. If they have direct deposit, everything goes into the checking account. They kind of filter it out with whatever they have left, maybe move a little bit of funds over to the savings. Again, when you're thinking of paying yourself first, put X amount of money into your savings account, X amount of money into your checking account. The money that is going into the checking account is the bill pay account. That is where the money is going to be going in and going out. Once the money is out of that checking account, it is time to quit spending. It is not about, going into the credit cards, going into the savings account, moving a little bit of money. It is having the discipline to actually save money. Now, when it comes to money, learning about finances just like this, reading about finances, watching YouTube videos about finance, really doing the education, because again, in traditional schools, this is the part that most places do miss, and most places are not educating people on finances, personal finance, even investing, entrepreneurship. A lot of it, and think about it, big picture, if you spend an hour a day learning about your finances, let's say you started investing, you start on dividends, you start, in personal finance. You spend an hour a day, well, all of a sudden in a week, you got 7 hours in a month, now you got 30 hours in a year, now you got 365 hours in. That is crazy in a very short amount of time, exactly how much you can learn about personal finance if you're just dedicating an hour. And this could be essentially even your ride to work, your ride home from work. It could be, I do a lot of lunch and learns where I absorb a lot of financial content, or even video creating abilities like YouTube. I do them during lunch. So while I'm sitting there eating my lunch, I'm consuming content, reading books, audiobooks, all of that. Now, guys, and if you do like the content that I'm putting out, definitely subscribe to the channel, because personal finance is what I am all about. So when we continue with this, financial education is on you. The amount of time and effort that you're going to put into learning something, if you want to invest again in stocks and bonds and ETFs and cryptocurrency, success with personal finance is individual and personalized to you. That is why they call it personal finance. That is really the big reason. Personal finance is how much time and effort you put into yourself and how much time and effort you put into understanding it. Now, of course, with the caveat to this, to make finances a lot easier, making more money, not only cutting back, budgeting, cutting back, being mindful of your spending, but if you have the ability, there is going to be a point where you hit the wall that you need to make more money. This could be a second job. This could be a side hustle. This could be getting a promotion. This could be bonuses. This could be a raise. This could be looking at a job that really fits into your skills and your talents that you can do in your spare time, or even your career, knowing your worth. They've essentially said, if you're staying at the same location or same job for more than 3 consecutive years, you could be earning money with those 3 years of experience you currently have at someone who is competitive in the industry, or the competition moving over there with the experience that you have. So definitely keep that in mind for a lot of the job hoppers out there that really jump from 50K to 70K to 80K to 100K to 150K. That is how a lot of people do it, with years and years and years of experience under their belt. Now, number 11, we look at using money and budgeting apps. This is really the organization. And I know, especially with the younger generation, when you look at a lot of these, you can personalize everything within applications. There's even Rocket Money. There's a lot of apps that will track all of your bank accounts. Even if you have them at a multitude of places, they will even organize and break out your spending. If it's subscription services, if it's one time, one off. I know Dave Ramsey really talks about the Every Dollar app. There's a lot of them out there, and it is very easy to let those get away from you. And that's kind of the catch-22 with these. It's really easy if you get frustrated that you can go ahead, you can close the app, you can delete the app, you can stop updating it, putting in information. But again, it is accountability, and the personal finance is personal to you yourself. Now, looking at, again, big picture, getting back to you, investing in yourself before anything else. When you look at crazy investing money, putting a lot of money into different places, invest in yourself first to get more income. We've learned this through a multitude of years. The biggest tool that you have, period, is your income. It's not about how much money you make, but it is about how much money you keep. So if you're making $50,000 a year and you're paying out $40,000 a year, you get that $10,000 to keep. But again, if you're making $100,000 a year and spending 90K, you're in the exact same bucket. If you're making $500,000, $490,000 of that is going out. Again, you're in the exact same bucket. And that's where keeping up the Jones, the lifestyle creep, a lot of things like that that we see kind of come in is as people continue to make more money, they continue to spend and require more money to sustain the lifestyle that they have. Now, of course, with this financial education, taking courses, buying classes, looking at books, looking at side hustles, doing your research and investing in yourself makes a really big difference. Now, of course, when it comes to the financial education, knowing and understanding investment terms is huge. Dollar cost averaging, compounding interest, putting money to work towards retirement accounts. Where's your money in? So if you have a 401k plan at work and let's say it's invested, into the S&P 500, what exactly does that mean? What kind of research can you do about where your investment portfolio is or what investment options you actually have in that portfolio that are going to make a difference that you could leverage, that you could put a different percentage possibly here or there? Are you taking enough risk? Are you taking too much risk? Really knowing exactly how you're doing this. Now, we talked a little bit about the side hustle. This is a great way that you can actually elevate those finances, getting a little bit more money. So if you have your regular job, and the big thing with this though, is when you're starting a side hustle, when you're starting a side job, a second job, whatever it is, you cannot let the cost of living go up. So I know it goes up naturally, but you can't all of a sudden, I have a side hustle, I am starting to spend a lot more money on XYZ because I feel like I can afford it now versus taking that money in savings. And I think, again, when you kind of look at big picture, if you're putting away that 10% of income, great. Imagine if that was 20% you're putting away, 30% putting away. What if you were putting 50% of your income away in an investment account every single month? That would just be absolutely crazy on how fast that would grow, how fast you would compound with the growth factors. It would be kind of crazy. Last one we're going to look at here is investing in assets, not liabilities. Now, this is really fundamentally something, again, that they should talk about when it comes to school. When you think of assets, assets are something essentially that is going to generate money or the asset is going to appreciate. So when we think of assets, a home, for instance, when you buy a home, let's say you buy a home for 200,000, in the course of the next year, it's worth, 220, 250, 280. Next 10 years, it's worth 300, 310. You are buying an appreciating asset. As you own that asset, the value of the asset is going up. But let's look on the flip side, and this is one that people love. When you're buying a vehicle, it is the biggest depreciating asset that we see, that we know of as of today. You buy a $100,000 car, you drive it off the lot, all of a sudden it's worth $80,000, $85,000. Every year you see, 5, 10, 15%, depending on the model, make, and year, and the mileage, of course, depreciate to the asset to where if you have it to 7 to 10 years, the car is almost not worth anything at all just because of the depreciation of the asset, which again is something that you really want to keep in mind. Buying things that are going to appreciate, that are going to go up in value, and also looking at things that are going to generate income. So when you look at the income generation, when you look again at the side hustle, what you're investing in yourself is going to generate you more income, and you want to do the exact same with assets. If you're buying stocks, if you're buying bonds, if you're buying cryptocurrencies, you're looking for assets that are going to appreciate, that are going to be worth more, essentially that you paid for them, which is the way that the compounding interest works. If you start putting more money in and you're getting a return, if that return is reinvested into whatever you're doing, whether it be CDs, you are essentially holding an asset that is going to appreciate and going to have a higher value when it comes to the future. And the extra one, or the bonus one in here, is of course, don't compare yourself to anyone else when it comes to finances, especially when it comes to the personal financial tips. Make sure you're not comparing yourself, because every single person's situation might not be exactly how it looks. You might see the glitz and glam that you see on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, but you never see behind the scenes what exactly is going on, how much debt they have, how much debt they don't have, what we're looking at in savings accounts and investment accounts. You never know, and never compare yourself. Just know that you can improve your financial situation, and I'll catch you in the next video.